All right, this is VinFast on the daily chart, and uh, it was out of the gates like a bandit. However, we had our first signs of reversal after an extreme high was reached at $93. This is called a island reversal when you have a gap up, an indecision candle, and then a gap down. That was the clue that the party was over. You can also kind of see it on the weekly chart. Typically, when you're reading price action, and again, this is the weekly chart, when you close and then the next candle opens up, goes up, then down, it's putting in a supply wick or a seller's wick. And if you don't want to get short here, here was the opportunity to get short at $70. Now, before we get into the analysis, let's look at this article, kind of recapping the first several weeks of VinFast going public. So VinFast plunged into the public markets through a SPAC at the beginning of the month, which would have been August. Merely a couple of weeks post its market debut, VinFast shares experienced an outstanding surge of more than 800%, propelling its valuation to nearly $200 billion. Reaching its pinnacle at a high of $93 per share, the company was the third most valuable car manufacturer globally behind Toyota and Tesla, right? That just didn't make any sense. Since its debut, it has had an incredible range with a low of $9.11 and a high of $93. Even though the stock has retraced over 50% from its peak levels and continues to fall down over 11% at the time of this writing, its valuation remains elevated at around $80 billion. Again, too high still. 80 billion, that's more than Ford, that's more than GM, right? Doesn't make sense. Given that the car's manufacturer projected sales of this year are around 50,000 vehicles, the question arises, should you consider purchasing the dip? So VinFast is a Vietnam automaker, and they actually make automobiles, but also e-scooters, businesses in Vietnam and United States. So why the United States? Well, let's get into this video before we continue with the article and the analysis.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for
We
having
are
me.
talking about investing. We've been talking about this all morning long. So I want to ask you specifically about the investment that you all are making right now, which is in building a manufacturing plant in the US. I know you already have a large, very modern plant in Vietnam. Why are you investing in a US factory? Does that have to do with the domestic production requirements of the US Inflation Reduction Act, or what is motivating this investment?
Thank you for having me here today. We made the decision to invest in the US long before the Inflation Reduction Act, actually. And we signed the agreement with North Carolina in March 2022. The reason for that is we always wanted to be part of the fabric of the economy in the US, and we want to be closer to the supply chain, as well as having the price stability and being able to deliver our products to customers faster. So our commitment to the US market and the investment here started long before the IRA.
I can only imagine that entering into a new market poses a lot of challenges for you. I know you've already shared that you are planning to ship cars by the end of this year from the new manufacturing plant. You're going up against a lot entering a new market. Why do you think that you all will be successful here in North America?
We think quite simply. We always apply, like, for any products at Vin Group and VinFast included. First of all, we need to have premium quality products in everything that we do. Secondly, reasonable price products. So we price our product very reasonably so that we can have access to the mass market. And finally, excellent service. So the after-sale service, we give 10 years warranty and we either meet or beat the after-sales standards in the market. So that is the intention. I think in the US in particular, we have very flexible sales models. So we have this innovative battery leasing model where consumer can lease the battery, and as a result of that, we can reduce the upfront pricing and make it more accessible to the consumer. For the consumer that want to buy the battery, we also sell the battery together with the vehicle as well. And I think one factor that helps is the US as well as a lot of states are very open and have different policies to reduce internal combustion engine vehicles and to promote electric vehicles, like building infrastructure, charging infrastructure, for example. So all those factors together just make us confident that we should be able to break in.
I think it's a really interesting model, what you're working on with having people the opportunity to buy the battery or to lease the battery. I think one of the things we talk about with Bloomberg Green very frequently is people are going to have to rethink the way that they're buying cars, and that the transition to electric vehicles requires us to rethink some of these traditional models, and you guys are doing exactly that with this new strategy. I'm sure most people here, or many people in the US, don't know the brand. I know you're still quite new, have only been around for a couple of years. So how are you introducing the VinFast brand to the US? How are you welcoming yourselves and introducing yourselves to this new market?
We chose from the beginning the direct-to-consumer model. So we always go direct to the consumer and tell our story directly to the consumer. In the US, in particular, we started in November last year with, for the first time, the global debut of VinFast EV at the Los Angeles Auto Show. So we showed the VF8 and VF9 as the concept vehicles. And then January this year at the CES in Las Vegas, we, for the first time, we unveiled the whole portfolio of EVs from A segment, which is the VF5 and VF6, VF7, VF8 and VF9. So basically covering all the SUV, covering all the segments of the market. And then we also unveil our EV strategy. We also told the world that we are stopping manufacturing internal combustion engine vehicles this year, and we become 100% EV company this year. And then in April, also here in New York City, we participated in New York Auto Show, and we let people test drive our cars for the first time. We got a lot of attention at New York Auto Show. A lot of questions, like I said, who are you? And but the line in front of our test drive is always the longest one at New York Auto Show. So that gave us a lot of encouragement. And then we, seeing is believing. So we brought a lot of, over the years, we have organized 4 tours to Vietnam already. We brought people from the US, from Europe, from all over the world to see us in Vietnam, to see VinFast, to see Vingroup ecosystem, to see what we do and to test drive our cars. So we have brought over more than 1,000 people on those trips to Vietnam, and the words got out. There's people from all different walks of life, the KOL, the media, and that has been very helpful to get the words out and to tell our story as well. And you will start seeing, as we approaching delivering cars in the US, by the end of the year, you can start seeing us getting to the consumer and telling more our story.
So much of the US auto market is built around trust. Either you're trusting in these brands that are deeply American and entrenched in America, or you're trusting in these foreign cars that you feel like are going to perform incredibly well. How are you, as you guys are introducing yourselves to the US market, how are you building that level of trust for the brand?
First of all, one of the reasons why we give a 10 years warranty or 125,000 miles warranty, which is above the market, is to tell people that we believe in our products and we're willing to stand behind our products. VinFast is part of Vingroup, and Vingroup in Vietnam is the largest private conglomerate in Vietnam. We have a track record of building multiple successful market-leading businesses in all different sectors in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, we have an ecosystem that basically cover all parts of life of a consumer. And we have we have shown our commitment to the U.S. market, by making billions of dollars investment in the factory in North Carolina, providing thousands of jobs to the Americans, and committing ourselves to the market. So I hope that gradually the consumer will see that we are really committed, and we're willing to stand behind our product.
Last year, the company sold close to 24,000 cars, and so far this year, 11,300 EVs. Now, they do make combustion engine cars. That was how they got into the car market, and they made a pivot into EVs, and first started selling EVs in 2019. The company has launched 6 EV models. However, the company experienced a 10% sales decline in 2022 and a further decline in 2023. So this is where things get interesting. The founder of VinFast controls and owns 99% of the company, leaving only 1% of the shares accessible to the public. Although there are 2.32 billion shares outstanding, only about 7 million are part of the float for public trading. And that's why we're seeing these huge swings in the price. As a result, the company has a limited availability of tradable shares in VinFast, creating a significant supply-demand imbalance. That imbalance resulted in a substantial surge higher and volatility. The volatility and price swings experienced in the stock since making its debut should sound the alarm for cautious investors looking to gain exposure to the EV sector. By all standards, VinFast has become a meme stock in the short term, gaining immense popularity, speculation, and surge in volume online amid the wild price action. Due to the heightened volatility, inability to efficiently manage risk, decreasing sales, and supply and demand imbalance, VinFast may not be the best choice for investors looking for exposure to the fast-growing electric vehicle sector. All right, so getting back to the charts. Here are the key levels, and this was kind of like the line in the sand. That line in the sand was $40. Why? Well, this was the previous high, which became resistance, and now, since prices closed below this level, and you've seen a gap down on Friday, this area becomes resistance once again. Now, big picture, if you just look at the weekly chart and you look at the supply wicks, right? This was the high. You can say that you have resistance at $70, right? You got a wick here. This was the level that we saw on the daily chart, right? But you have this huge supply wick for the week of August 14th, right? That's going to serve as resistance, and we'll look at it on a daily chart. This week was August 7th. You have that supply wick stopping here. That's going to become a resistance level. Right now, it's going to be a support level. And these are the lows, right? The $9 area. So again, going back down to the daily chart. Again, resistance is support. So that's the next target, right? This is the next target. You might see a bump up in price, but based on the momentum, the chart suggests price is going to go down to the 24. I like the $20 level. That's a round hole psychological number. And then what potentially can happen is you'll see another further decline, a pullback to retest the $10 level. And why $10? Well, again, that was the kind of like the origin of the explosive move higher. But again, you have only 1% of the stock available for trading. Now, what happens when the other, say, 2.3 billion shares are released for trading? Well, that's going to cause selling pressure, right? So I think that price is going to continue to move down. Again, if sales decline in 2022 and in 2023, and they're opening up a factory in North Carolina, you need capital for that, which is going to serve as selling pressure, right? Because if you need capital, how are you going to get that capital? Through debt. And again, when those billions of shares go into the market, again, that's going to be huge. Essentially, it's going to be more available stock to trade. So you're not going to have that scarcity factor any longer. So there's just too many risk involved with VinFast. I agree with the article. You pretty much should stay away from VinFast and look elsewhere if you want to have a play and exposure into the EV market. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.